So you did a lot of work with those transformations, and you found out that the transformations work really, really well when you're in that vertex form. Remember, the vertex form is that y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. This form is a really good form to identify the vertex. And remember, standard form is this form here. So what we want to be able to do is to go from standard form and rewrite it into vertex form. And actually, you've seen this process before a little bit, so you're going to get to a point you're going to go, oh, yeah. Now, you might be saying, well, yeah, it's a vertex form. What I can do is I can go to my calculator, or I can get the axis of symmetry, and then I can plug it in. I get the y value of the vertex, and then I can rewrite it. Yeah, that's pretty good, except sometimes that a value in front jams us up a little bit. So the other thing we can do is we can learn today's lesson. So let's talk about doing that now. Check it out. So we're going to refresh your memory a bit, and we're going to talk about solving by completing the square. Don't worry, Taylor Swift's on tour, so we're not going to sing about it. So what you might remember is that you move the 16 to the other side. Let me add 16 to both sides. So when I do that, I get this here. So you might remember that I take that 6 and I divide it by 2 and I square it. And that's going to give me the 9 that goes here and the 9 that goes here. So then I get the square of x plus 3 equals 25. Solving this, I can take 2 square roots. Let's do one of those, one of those. We get x plus 3 equals plus or minus 5. We subtract 3. We're going to get x equals negative 3 plus or minus 5 for our answers. And we can split them up. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. So you remember doing that. If not, there's a little bit of a refresher for you. So it's not too bad to do. Well, what we really want to do is the same thing. But instead of saying it equals 0 and we find the roots of it, let's instead do it for a function. So we're going to kind of do it the same exact way. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add my 16. Now, I know what you're saying. F of x plus 16, there really isn't anything over there. You're exactly right. You're exactly. So you know what I'm going to leave it? I'm going to leave it as f of x plus 16. I actually like to call the left side the junk side, because I just throw all my junk over there, and then I'm going to bring it all back later on. So when I get this now, I have x squared plus 6x. And then again, there's my blank space, baby. I'm not going there, I'm not going there. And I'll write your name. Couldn't help it, sorry. So we take that 6, we divide it by 2 and square it. We get our plus 9 here, our plus 9 here. Alrighty. So over here now on the right side, when we factor it, we get the square of x plus 3. On the left side, let's combine what we can. We can combine 16 plus 9 and get 25. We're almost done. Because remember, we want our equation to be f of x. So let's subtract that 25 to the other side. And again, I'm not going to subtract it from the parentheses. I'm going to leave it there. So then when I do that, I'm going to get that f of x equals, in parentheses, the square of x plus 3 minus 25. So now we just changed, by completing the square, from standard form to vertex form. So from here, can you identify the vertex? And can you identify the axis of symmetry? Oh, does that mean I got to go graph it? No. Remember, vertex form tells me the vertex. So the coordinates of my vertex is going to be negative 3, negative 25. That's my vertex. Remember, the in parentheses is the opposite of the sign. So it's a plus 3 there, but it's really a minus 3. You're subtracting negative 3. And remember that your axis of symmetry, which is an x equals equation, is the x value of the vertex. Pretty cool. So yeah, completing the square works for us. Let's see if we can try another one. So we want to take this equation and we're going to rewrite it into its vertex form. And again, identify the vertex and the AOS, the axis of symmetry. So let's start off. And actually, I know I'm going to be a little bit better than that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a blank space for a second. Because what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to add that 8 to both sides. I'm going to be even a little bit better than that, and I'm going to leave another blank space there because I know that I've got to put another number over there. So do you know what number goes on both sides? We take that -2, divide it by 2 and square it, +1. So let's put a +1 on both sides. Left side, f of x plus 9. Right side, factor it. It's the square of x minus 1. One last thing to do. Let's subtract that 9 to the other side. Boom. So I get the square of x minus 1. Subtract 9. There's my vertex form. So my axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex. So x equals 1. And my vertex is at 1, -9. Pretty neat. There's our vertex, there's our axis of symmetry. So that's really about it. Can make it a little bit more trickier. Let me show you a couple things how. Remember when we had fractions in the middle? Yeah, we do. We loved it when it was fractions. Well, let's keep going the same way. Again, I'm going to start by subtracting 4 from both sides. So I'm going to get f of x subtract 4, leave a space, equals x squared minus 7x. So now let's take that 7, divide it by 2 and square it, and we get 49 over 4. And yeah, you're right, it's a -7 over 2, but when I square it, it becomes positive. So I'm going to put my 49 over 4 here. I'm going to put my 49 over 4 here. So we do some factoring on the left side. We do some combining on the right side. And remember, we could do that mixed number trick, right? Where we can multiply that 4 times that -4, and that's going to give me a -16. And then -16 combined with a +49 is a 33. So I get plus 33 over 4. Yeah, it looks ugly, but let's keep doing it. We'll subtract that 33 over 4 to the other side. So our function in vertex form is the square of x minus 7/2. And I subtract 33 over 4 from it. So the vertex is 7 over 2, -33 over 4. Ugh, yucky, but hey, it works. And then the axis of symmetry is x equals 7 over 2. So even with the fractions, we can complete the square. Let's see what else we have in store. Oh, this is a nice one here, because we got a couple things going on. So we start off again by adding 5 to both sides. I'll leave that blank space. But check this out now. I have a -x squared and a -8x. I don't like completing the square with a -1 in front. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide everything by -1. So let me play with the right side first for a second, because that's going to give me an x squared plus 8x. Now I got my blank space, baby. Remember the left side, I call it like the junk side? I just move stuff over there. I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm not going to divide by -1. I'm not going to change signs. That's crazy. Let's just leave it like that. Because don't we just move stuff over there to move it back? So leave it like that. Okay, so now we're going to go on the right side again. We got that 8 over 2. We square it. We're going to get 16 there. So we got a plus 16 there. Let's throw a plus 16 here. If I factor this side, I'm going to get x plus 4. Now, the right side is looking ugly. I get it. But you know what? Let's undo the left side. Okay, so I want to solve for f of x. So let me first subtract 16 from both sides. Let's do that first. We'll bring that over. So now I get f of x plus 5 over -1 equals, there's my x plus 4, there's my square, there's my minus 16. Just want to Make this page a little bit longer for a sec. Why does it get skinny like that? That drives me nuts. Anyway, so now let's keep undoing. Let's multiply both sides by -1. And yeah, we're going to multiply both sides by -1. Oh, I don't like this. It's okay. Watch what's going to happen. It's not too bad. On this side, on the left, we get f of x plus 5. On the right side, we're going to get a negative in front of our parentheses. And then -16 times -1 is positive 16. And then we just got to subtract 5 from both sides. And here is our vertex form. The negation of the square of x plus 4 plus 11. So the vertex is going to be at -4, 11. Axis of symmetry is x equals -4. And think about this for a minute. When you looked at this equation right off the bat, did you notice that that negative was there? That means the parabola has to open downward. That means that my vertex has a maximum. So down here in my answer, that negative right there, doesn't it still make it look like it's an opening downward parabola? Sure does. Oh, that's great stuff. Good algebra here, man. You're getting the biggest bang for your buck yet. Well, we got one more to go. It's a 2. Hey, remember how we got rid of the -1? We just kind of moved it over? We're going to move the 2 over also. So first, let's start by subtracting the 5. I'm going to try to write a little bit smaller here. F of x minus 5. And now I got to get rid of that 2, right? So we're going to divide everything by 2. So I just get this ugly thing over here. X squared minus 6x. And yeah, I didn't leave that blank space, baby. See, I'm lost without my girl T.S., without Taylor Swift. So if we take -6 divided by 2 and square it, we're going to get that positive 9. So we'll put a plus 9 and a plus 9. I'm not touching the other side. I'm not touching that left side. I'm not combining anything. I'm just going to undo it. So over here, I'm going to get my x minus 3. I have this big ugly mess over here. Minus 5 over 2 plus 9. Well, let's move that 9 over. Let's start undoing. It looks kind of crazy, doesn't it? It's okay, though. Let's now multiply both sides by 2. And again, we're going to multiply everything by 2, right? Let's see, I'm going to go up here for that. Let's finish it up here, because I don't want to make it too much thinner. So I'll just write thinner, right? So f of x minus 5 now. Let's multiply everything by 2. So those are red parentheses around it. So that's going to equal 2 times the square of x minus 3. And 9 times 2 is 18. And now I'll add 5 to both sides, and the 5 gets added to the 18. So I get f of x equals 2 times the square of x minus 3 minus 13. And before we go vertexing and axis of symmetrying, notice that because that a value is 2, we know the parabola is opening thinner. So that 2 in my vertex form matches the 2 in my standard form. Nice stuff. So let's see, my axis of symmetry then is x equals 3. And the vertex is at 3, negative 13. Whew! A lot of completing the square today, my friends. I think you did pretty well with that. Okay? Yeah, it gets tricky, but please notice that on this left side, hey, stop looking at how much time is left. Notice it on this left side, like right over here in this green box. Notice that really that's just holding everything over there, and then I just move it all back by undoing. That's the key to that, my friends. Good job.